If you're a podcast host, listen up. This one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle. And I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hello, book lovers. Welcome to Must Love Books. Welcome back to Must Love Books podcast. Today, I am here with Nicole Maehrer, author of Accomplice to the Villain, which releases today. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on, and I'm super excited for the release day of Accomplice to the Villain, third novel of your villain series. Let's talk about it.
Yay, I can't. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't believe it's like releasing because I was just finishing it not that long ago. I know that everybody's been waiting for it, and it's so strange because everyone's like, it's been so long, and I'm like, what do you mean I blinked and now it's coming out? How can you say that?
Seems like it's been a really quick process for you.
Yeah, it's definitely been like a whirlwind because my brain's still trying to catch up to the fact that there's going to be 3 books out when I feel like I just released the first one.
It is always nice when trad publishing is able to kind of keep up with those kind of turnaround times.
Oh yeah. I have a really great team at Red Tower, and they're all incredibly supportive and creatively driven and love the story too. So I'm very lucky and well taken care of in that regard.
So for anyone who is new to the Assistant to the Villain series, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, so it's a very satirical fantasy fairy tale story about a morally gray fantasy villain's office set in the background of like our favorite fairy tale story. And he works alongside his very bubbly sunshine assistant, Evie. And in the first book, Assistant to the Villain, they are trying to figure out who in the office is betraying them to the heroes because there's a traitor amongst them. It's sort of a mystery of unraveling of who is doing the betraying. Along with the next couple of books, Evie sort of has to kind of come into her own villainous identity with a lot of like hijinks involved and romance, of course, too.
The hijinks are just so much fun.
Thank you.
And the writing is very, like you said, it's a satire, and it is very just like quick on it, very whippy, very back and forth, which is something that I personally really love in my fantasy worlds. And I feel like satirical fantasy needs to be more of a thing than what it is because I'm loving it.
Yeah, there's so many great ones out there, especially within cozy fantasy. And I think that because cozy fantasy has had such a surge in popularity, we're now finding like these books that brand new books that are coming to the genre, books that have been around for a really, really long time. It's growing every day. And it's one of my favorite things to read is cozy fantasy. So it's good for me because I have a lot of reading material.
Pioneering the genre just so that you can read more of it.
I think Travis Baldree
Yeah.
like definitely is a huge influence on the cozy fantasy genre, and there's so many amazing
there's
authors.
So many
yes, it's absolutely incredible. I love reading them, so I'm like, yay.
Me too. Rebecca Thorne is another one that I really enjoy.
Yeah. So, oh God, the list is too long to name all of them, but there's so many.
Absolutely. And now you have the third novel. So for those who are familiar with the series, can you tell us just a little bit about what to expect with Accomplice to the Villain?
Yeah, without diving too deeply into spoilers, Accomplice to the Villain is probably my favorite of the series thus far. I'm like so excited for everyone to read it because so many of the seeds that I've planted in the first 2 books finally get to like come to fruition in the third book. So many things that like there was, I'm not going to say what it was, but in book one, there was something that I revealed that I ended up nixing and not revealing because all my editor said was, are you sure you want everyone to know this in the first book? And I went, of course not. And I cut it immediately. I was like, no. And she was asking so like generally. It wasn't like a push to do anything particularly. It was just asking. And I went, no, you're right. Ew. Getting rid of it. And I was so happy that I did because now I've had the buildup of it for the last two books. And in book three, it's such a satisfying, like, come to fruition moment. So we're going to get to see a lot of like ties come together in book three. We're going to so much more romance. It's probably the most romance I've ever written into a book. The first two definitely have like escalating romance, and then book three, it just kind of like shoots through the roof and breaks the ceiling. And I think more world building. You're going to see more of the kingdom, more of outside the kingdom, potentially new characters, new mythical creatures, lots of exciting things in the third book. I'm really, really so stoked for it to come out.
Well, today's that day, so everyone pick up your copy.
Yes, do it now or else.
Or else.
Or else.
Or else the villain will come after you. Well, that actually might be not as much of a deterrent.
I know. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna throw my book in the garbage. Where is he?
Right? No, please don't come after me, villain. I was gonna read it someday, I promise.
Yes, I'll leave my window open for you.
Doors unlocked just
the
to
door
make
is
it
unlocked.
easier.
Just come on in. I love it.
Me too. I really do. And I love the quick wit. I love the slow build of the romance. And I especially love Evie's inner monologues that we see in the first two books where she is just mourning herself like, no, Evie, don't think about your boss touching your thighs.
Yes. She's truly her biggest like teacher. Like she's constantly giving herself orders, like if no one else is gonna do it. And I think it was a funny bit at first, and now I kind of go back and I reflect on it and I'm like, oh no, because it's also it's also a sign that she has truly had to parent herself for most of her life. And those are her like parenting moments to herself a little bit, because I will have these really lovely conversations with friends that are also authors and writers, and we'll discuss like things within our own stories, and one of them will have the audacity to like point something out that kind of went over my head that I wrote, that they're like, oh, didn't you do this because of this? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about this.
Just take the credit for it. Like, yes.
Yeah, but it's just like your subconscious doing stuff that you're like, oh my God, my brain was so ahead of my conscious brain. What is happening? Yeah, but that was definitely a thing that I realized later on when I was writing. I was like, oh, and that was something she brings up in book three about how like these little orders to herself are like very funny, but they come from like a much deeper, kind of darker place, which is, I think, my humor in general is starts out funny and then it's like, oh no, it's actually
it's actually a manifestation of her trauma.
it's actually really dark. Yeah, but Evie's a very resilient character in that she can find humor in nearly anything that comes her way, and that's why she's so strong. So I do love that facet of her character for sure.
I would like to talk about your publishing journey from rising on Book Talk and all the way to debuting as a #1 New York Times bestselling author.
Oh, it's crazy. It's still wild. I can't believe it still. Oh my gosh. It does still feel like such a whirlwind. We're actually rounding, it will be the anniversary of the very first Morally Gray assistant skit that I ever posted. Was about 4 years ago in June. And it's wild now because I'm about to have the third book in the series out. That year I fell so in love with the skits. I had been doing them for a few months and I had always intended to write them into a book from the very first one. I just fell in love with the idea, and it was sort of like storyboarding but in video format. And it's cool because I can go back, I now have it documented that I can go back and watch like when this character was introduced and when this storyline was introduced and when the romance started to deepen and when the plot line started to deepen a little bit, and even to the point where when I started writing the book and even introducing elements that I was putting in the book back into the skits, like it kind of became like a symbiotic relationship. And I wrote the book over the course of that entire year in 2021. And then come 2022, I had finished the first draft. I was really publicly talking about writing the book because I was so lucky that I had so many people following along with the skits and then writing the book. I would share excerpts. I went through the traditional querying process because I had veered towards deciding to do traditional publishing. And while I was doing that, I also was reached out to by my current agent who had seen a few of my videos and thought the idea was funny and basically said like, hey, if you'd like to send the manuscript to me when you're done, I'd love to read it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's crazy. Let me send it over. So I did. And then I did get interest from another agent when I was querying. I ended up going with the agent that had reached out to me, my current agent, who I absolutely love just because his excitement like matched mine so well. Like we both had the same like vision for the story. We both like understood like where it could go and how fun it was. He also understood like where it came from because I felt like the TikTok skit background was such a big part of like how it came to be. Then we went on to submission, got a ton of rejections, as you do when you go on submission. Only fortified me, made me stronger for sure. And then we found the perfect home for it at Red Tower. It was like I blinked. And then that following year, I worked with the editor almost immediately. And then we got to work and I was so lucky that they really wanted to get the book out there as soon as we could. And we were able to get our release in late August, early September. I feel like I blinked and it just all happened. My brain is still trying to catch up, but it's been the craziest time of my life. It's been so much fun. It's doing the thing that I love the most in the entire world. So I really, truly, I don't know how I went from making skits in my college townhome and screaming into a bathroom like there was a person inside of it to talking on a podcast about my third book coming out. But the pipeline is wild and it's incredible. And I'm talking so much. I'm sorry. I like don't know when to stop talking.
You're good. That's what podcasts are for. You're supposed
right.
to talk a lot.
You're right. I don't know why I'm like, oh God, it's how long has it been? I've been jabbering.
I feel like that sometimes too, though.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm editing myself, I'm like, did I really talk that much? Really?
You're running a podcast. I'm such a hypocrite. I'm like, you're supposed to talk.
Yeah, we all do it. Just goes to show we all do it.
Yes.
But I am so happy to be a part of your journey here.
Thank you.
And to be a little stop on your publishing career.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're not a little stop. You're an exciting, like amazing spot.
Yay. So out of your characters, I have to say that my favorite is Kingsley.
Yay. I love him too.
So for those who haven't read yet, Kingsley is a frog that has signs that just, it's very like 90s, 2000s cartoons where he just pops up these signs that expresses what he's thinking, and they're always just very funny little remarks about the situation going on. And sometimes it's during something serious, sometimes it's during something comedic, and it just always adds so much more levity to the scene. I just love Kingsley so much.
I'm so glad. He's so popular. He's so beloved. And I love that. I always tell the story. He was not in the first draft of the book. And that always shakes people to their core because they're like, what do you mean? Just even the risk of him not being there is so scary. But if I announce that at like a signing, I always wait because there's always like a collective gasp. And it's so comedic that I'm like, I can time it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to tell you something. And then I wait like, oh, there it is. But it's true. He wasn't in the first draft of the book. He was actually cover art. He was part of the cover art and he still is, obviously, for book one. And we were still doing developmental edits when I saw the cover for book one. And me and my editor and like basically the whole team just fell absolutely in love with the frog. We were like, he's so cute, help, like he's so adorable. And then my editor and I sort of had like a back and forth moment where we were like, should we put him in the book? Like, it's kind of like when you're at lunch with your friends and you're like debating if you should share fries and you're like, should we? Like, should we do it? Let's do it. Okay. So we had an editing round called Add Frog, and it actually ended up being like really fortuitous because there was another character I was going to introduce in book two that I had not fleshed out yet. They didn't have a name. I just knew what their arc and their purpose in the story was going to be. So Kingsley took the place of that character and it just became Kingsley. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's even more perfect because now I can introduce this character in the first book and the ties will be even deeper. But in addition to that, it was so easy to add him in because It truly took me like 2 days, less than 2 days. And I think totality, it probably took me only like 6 hours. I went through the book and I just found all the pockets that I felt like he fit in. And it was like, that was what was missing in every scene that I put him in was him. It was one of those like very magical writer moments where I was like, oh my gosh, he was always supposed to be there. It was just waiting for him to like plop in with his little sign. And I remember texting my editor. It's funny that you say like 90s, 2000s, because I texted my editor and I was like, I want him to be like Salem the cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where like he's really just there to say something sarcastic and peace out. And that's about it. But he is so smart because he only needs one word to say anything he's thinking, which if I could do that, I could conquer the world. But unfortunately, I am a yapper and I never stop talking. So I could never be Kingsley, but I do love him. And I love that everybody else loves him too. He's my thing.
I absolutely love that he was just created by the cover art. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
I know. I'm like, say thank you to Elizabeth Turner Stokes. We love Elizabeth Turner Stokes. Not only does she like nail every cover, she's done all the covers for the books. She nails it every single time. It's always so funny. And she just like truly gets the spirit of the books. But in addition to that, she drew Kingsley. And if she drew him, he probably never would have, he would have been a completely different character. He wouldn't have been a frog. So we thank you, Elizabeth. We love you, Elizabeth.
That is honestly like my favorite story I've ever heard. I'm
Yeah.
that's
Oh, really?
amazing.
Oh, I love that. I love Elizabeth. Cover artists are truly like, I mean, it's true. It's the first part of the book you see when you're in the store is the cover. So the cover artists are so important. Obviously, they're huge part of the process.
All the praise for the cover
Yes.
artists. So I have heard that there are some adaptation rumors going around.
Yes, yeah, we signed the television rights to Legendary. How long ago was it now? Like not last November, but the November prior, I think, that it was announced. And it's still so exciting. There's not much I can say about it other than that things are happening behind the scenes that are very, very exciting. And the team working on it is so incredible and so in love with the story. And it's such a pleasure to watch and surreal to watch other people put time and effort into a story that you love so much. So that's really all I can say. But it's been really amazing. It's been absolutely mind-blowing.
There is one specific scene in book 2 that as I was reading it, I'm like, I need to see this on screen. Like,
I'm so curious
it.
which one it was.
And it is in one of the beginning chapters.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think I know.
Yes.
In the ballroom. It's my favorite scene in that book.
I have to see this on screen and I just cannot wait.
I'm so happy. Yeah.
So that is excellent news for me personally.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it's that scene particularly. I had that scene visualized. It's so funny that you say that. And I'm so happy because that scene was a scene like I had the most visually clear in my head. I think out of all the scenes in book 2. Because I always see the scenes like a movie in my head, which is fortunate. It makes it easier to describe things when I'm writing them. But that scene, when I first started writing book 2, and even when I was writing book 1, I had that scene like in my head. I was listening to like all the Taylor Swift songs to like amp myself up for it. And then she released Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. And I was like, oh my
perfect.
God.
Mm-hmm.
It was after the book was done too. I was like, she's in my head. She knows. How can this be? Because the lines were it's like crash the party like a record scratch as I scream, who's afraid of little old me? And I was like, what's that from Clueless where she goes, I'm totally bugging. Like I was totally bugging. I was totally bugging. I love that scene. It's still to this day one of my favorites. And I'm like, I sound like such a dork because I'm like, I wrote it, but it's one of my favorite scenes.
I mean, you should be proud of your own work that way.
Thank
you know, I love that we now have a theme song for Evie.
Oh yeah. That's a huge one for her, I think. Like really any Reputation song too on the Reputation album. It's basically just her. It's just her growing more and more unhinged each book. And I'm like, it's just a beautiful thing for me to write and to watch unfold.
I love her just kind of unhinged descent because it just feels so right.
Yeah, I think that it's very cathartic for me because I used to be such a people pleaser. And I still love to, be helpful and to do things for my loved ones and to make people happy. That's still such a joy for me, but it comes from such a healthier place. So writing a character that is kind of like me devolved, like the people pleaser part devolved back into like the beginning, and kind of like from an objective standpoint, like watching her unfold with each book. It's a really beautiful thing because you watch people that are doing all these things for other people that don't appreciate it or that don't deserve it. And you're like frustrated and screaming at the screen, like, stop it. Someone like shake that person until they stop doing that. Like, knock it off. You don't deserve that. And it's so cathartic for me to be able to write a character that is kind of going through that journey and slowly unraveling that part of themselves until they are at a healthier mindset. Because I think that's something that so many people that are people pleasers or just inherent perfectionists have to go through in life. And it's definitely a journey, but it's you're out of it. You're like, why did I do that? Why would I ever do that? It's wild.
Evie is entering her villain era in more ways than one.
Oh yeah. Yes, she's coming out of it. Yeah, for sure.
In every possible way.
Yes. She's
and we're here for it.
Yes, she's conquering her villain era. I love it.
Conquering it. Yes.
It's super fun. It's fun to write. It's fun to watch it unfold because sometimes it does feel like I'm just an objective observer of it. And I'm like just the scribe that's typing things that have already happened. I can't wait to see what she does in book 4.
One thing I really love about Evie as a main character is she's a main character who doesn't understand, especially in the first book, I think the most. But she's a main character who doesn't understand that she's a main character. She sees herself as like a sidekick or a side character, and she doesn't seem to realize, especially in the first book, that she is the main character. Like, this is Evie's story as we know, but she hasn't quite figured that out. And that's why I love that scene in book 2 so much, is because I feel like that is her first time kind of realizing that she is a main character and kind of taking control of the story and her own narrative in the story. And it's just something I love to see.
She really takes more agency in book 2. And that's why I think it is real. That scene was so satisfying to write because it was kind of a coming out of the shadows moment for her, because she's been very comfortable in the shadows. Like, she's very outgoing in the sense that she'll talk to anyone. She's very chatty and friendly and is very good at masking the way that she really feels with like pleasantries and smiles. And it's like a coping mechanism for her. It's a fail safe. And that's sort of always been her mode of being. And that was sort of one of her first moments of just stepping out of that and just really being like, okay, well, here I am, and I'm just going to do it, because what else is there to do? If there's no one else here to do it, I have to do it for myself. And that's always how she's been outside of even the first book. If we go back to like her childhood and her raising her sister, and her role in life has always been, well, if there's no one else to do it, I have to do it. So I will figure out my way of doing it, because she doesn't do things the typical way. She doesn't do things in the way that I think people expect her to do them. She's always had her own means of existing and of being. And this is another one of those ways, is the most dramatic way possible, like steps out of the shadows. And she doesn't do it small. She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to really do it. Like, I'm going to full send. And she's so dramatic about it. And that's what I love. I'm like, it's not just like a little subtle, like, hello. It's like such a Maleficent moment is what I loved about it.
Evie is really the definition of commit to the bit.
Yes. She is very committed to that. She's definitely a fire sign for sure. She's like, let me throw my whole self into this moment, and it's going to be great.
And you have the villain, and his whole response to that scene just cracked me up so much because he's so serious about it. And she's very much not serious about it.
She's like, listen, I'm going to crack a little jokey joke, and everyone needs to relax because the vibes are bad. Like, everyone needs to chill. This is a lot. But that, I think it does go back to her using humor as a deflection. It's like, even in the most unsafe situations, she's still making jokes because she's like, this will save me. And this will make me braver, because my brain will think this moment isn't that dire because I'm still laughing. It's like when she stops being able to joke about things that she knows is when it's going to start to like kind of weigh in on her. I'll even like be writing and notice that she's making a joke when she doesn't need to. And I'm like, girl, stop. Like, just let it be serious for a second. This
As
is
you're
bad.
writing her.
They do stuff like that to me all the time. People are like, you have full control. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm literally a babysitter. Like, I'm just watching them do stuff. She'll do things. And I'm like, girl, you really got to stop doing this. I feel like I'm talking to like a friend that has really destructive patterns that I'm trying to break with them. I'm like, you really have to face your feelings sometimes so that you can get over them. And she's like, what if I make another joke? And I'm like, oh my God, make another joke. It is funny. I'll admit it's funny, but girl, what's going on?
One thing about the popularity of the Villain series is it really shows us just how much readers love a good bad guy, as in a good bad guy.
Yeah.
We've got, the rise of the anti-hero, which is a trope that we see in media off and on. It kind of cycles through a lot. We have like Deadpool is a popular anti-hero that, is obviously well beloved through comics and movie
Yeah.
viewers. And I think the villain, and I just think it's so funny that he's often just called the villain, but I think he's a prime example of why we love to see a good villain.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it too, especially from a romantasy fantasy aspect, like we so love the villains because they will literally do anything for you. Like they have no lines they do not cross. And from a fiction standpoint, that's a lovely sentiment. I'm like, great, burn something down for me right now. I want you to prove your love. In a fiction sense, at
No
least.
fiction.
Like, I know, in a fiction setting, it's lovely and it's fun. I think it's also just a reflection of characters that aren't perfect. Like they're so flawed. They're so deeply flawed. And as human beings, we're all deeply flawed in like different specific ways. Like we all have specific flaws that are unique to us and some that holistically we all have. But it's nice, I think, when you have that in mind and then you're reading about a character that has similar flaws, just probably exemplified to like a really extreme extent, but like they could be a little selfish or dishonest, or they sometimes make a wrong choice. And that's something that we all do all the time to a granted much smaller degree, hopefully a much smaller degree than what the characters in the books are doing. But at the end of the day, it is such a comfort, I think, to read about characters that are flawed and making mistakes. And it kind of makes your mistakes seem like truly when the villain's like unhinged and doing unhinged things. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's okay that I didn't go to the package room today and get my packages. Maybe that's fine. Maybe it's fine that I left them down there because he's taking heads off. So I really do feel my mistake was not as big. So we're fine. I have such an interest in human nature and the way that people act. I studied psychology in school, and I think it was just purely from a standpoint of I think that everybody's brains are so different and unique, and it's really interesting why people do certain things and why we respond certain ways to certain things. But I think that most people are genuinely looking just for connection, especially within the books that we read. And I think specifically with villains, it's like we love to love them and we love to hate them and we love to like have them in romances. But I think like the deeper part of my brain's like, we also love them because they're messed up and we're all messed up too. It's relatable.
Villains in fantasy, they really just give in to their inhibitions. And I feel like we relate to that because we know that we can't do that in the real world.
Yes.
But when you're in a fantasy setting, those rules no longer apply.
Yeah. Yep. I think that that's the other beautiful part about writing fantasy is that you get to make up all the rules and you get to decide what's okay and what's not. If I want there to be like a bed floating in the sky, I don't have to explain it. It's just there.
It's just there. It's
just there. There's just a bed that floats there all the time, right in the sky. And then people are like, why? And I'm like, magic.
Duh.
It's a fantasy world. No, but it is a lot of fun. And I've read so many books where there's such well crafted magic systems that I'm like, I can't believe your brain did this. Like, how did your brain do this? Admit your secrets. Like, how could it possibly have done these things?
When it comes to fiction, but especially fantasy and romantasy, I personally am a huge villain supporter.
Oh, me too. Me too. Because I do think that we're all one bad day away from being the villain. They didn't
Right?
start that way. Usually someone did something horrific to them and then they ended up being bad. That's not an excuse to turn into a villain. However, it's nice to understand that, like, okay, something really horrific happened. And then they were like, actually, I hate all of you. And now I'm going to be a bad person. And then you're like, you know what? Your entire like village got burned down when you were a kid and there's some like horrific trauma and you're like, I can't even argue because I might do that too if I had been in your shoes. But it's psychologically, you're like, okay. But I think it's also too, we all want to find an ounce of good, even in people that we think are doing bad things. Because that flash of humanity is such a hope driven thing that you feel like, oh, I can have hope in humanity because even this horrific character is capable of doing something good. So that means that even somebody that maybe isn't doing the best things, again, smaller scale in real life, if they're doing some of the things that the fantasy characters are doing in real life, they probably should be in jail. But I'm talking small scale things. Like, everyone can have a second chance. Anyone can be redeemed. Anyone can not change even, but more just like lean into like the better parts of themselves, their better nature. Because I do think that we all have good and bad within us. And it's just really the side that or it's like the wolf that you feed, they say, like the one that you
wolves.
feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the two wolves, the one that you feed. So, some days you're feeding the one that's, being an instigator. And some days you're feeding the one that's like, you know what, I'm going to close my laptop and go for a walk and look at the birds.
One thing I always say that I very much think holds true is you cannot, and this goes specifically for romance and romantasy, but you cannot judge a girl for who she roots for in a romantasy novel. You can't judge us for our fictional men that we appreciate.
Yeah, who would ever do that? That's monstrous. Right, I agree. I feel like there should be no judgment when you're reading a fantasy story. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, don't take that home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't take it outside of the book. I know. I'm like, there's severed heads hanging from the ceiling, and he's having a bad day. I'm like, my mom's like, that's crazy. I'm like, I know, but it's just like funny because it's so ridiculous that somebody would do that and think like, oh, it's just a bad work day. Like that's bonkers. Like, hello. But no, she's like, do, which just shows that Evie is just as unhinged as the villain is.
It really does, because she, even from her first moments, she has like no qualms about the severed heads.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or her biggest qualm is that she stepped on an eyeball the week prior.
Yes.
And she was so disgusted with this, like the popping, that she was like, I can never do that again. Anything else I can handle, but that can never happen again because I will scream at the top of my lungs. Like, I would do the same thing.
I can't even stand like eyeball stuff in horror movies. Just
yeah, ew.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's where I draw
too.
my line. Like, so
I'm
Evie's
actually
valid
like
for that.
quite squirmish with like gory movies, which is hysterical because I'm like, I can write it. But for some reason, watching it, I'm like, oh, ew, like that's disgusting. And my mom's like, have you read your own book? Like, I'm confused. I'm like, it's so different when you're writing it.
It turns it's like one step closer to feeling real. I get that.
Yeah, because you're like visualizing right in front of you. Oh, goodness. It will get like the shivers.
Yeah, eyeball stuff is a no-go for me. So Evie is valid on that one.
I'm in agreement.
The severed heads are fine. Just keep the eyeballs attached.
Yeah, she's like, just keep them attached or like toss them in the bin like a normal person and don't leave them on the floor like an animal. What's wrong with you?
Because apparently the normal person thing isn't just not severing heads and hanging them. It's just throw the eyeballs in the trash.
Properly. Yeah, dispose it properly and don't make me step on them and ruin my shoes.
Yeah. Ugh. Too much.
Style. Right. So she's also unhinged. They're all a little, that's the fun of it, is that they're all a little bit not quite all there.
And I love seeing all the characters, but especially the villain, starting to really see how unhinged Evie is, because he definitely kind of misjudges her from the beginning as just being sunshine and butterflies. So I think he ends up being so surprised a lot
Yes.
what she's capable of. I don't think he seems to fully grasp as he's starting to know these things that the influence isn't necessarily just because of him. Like she was always there. She was always
Oh,
that
yeah.
unhinged. Like
Yeah.
he just didn't notice that.
I think that it's definitely grown his awareness of it. I think when they first met, he like sensed there was something beneath the surface that was a little bit brutal that he liked. He was like, okay, all right. But his thing is he truly thinks that in his mind, he is the most monstrous thing that has ever walked the earth, and he does not deserve anything good or pure or happy. And so when he's around her, tries to like, push her in a direction that will make her go, oh my God, that's way too much for me, and like run away. But he pushes her, and her response is always, I'm going to push you back harder. I'm going to make it worse. And he, like, in a way, becomes addicted to it because then he starts doing it instead of just pulling back completely and being like, all right, I'm going to wall you off totally because that's the only answer. He's like, unfortunately, now I want to see what you'll do if I do this. So let me do this next. And that's why their interactions are so fun. It feels like there's a constant push pull between them and a constant like tug of war that they're both losing. They're both losing. Who's winning
Stuck
it?
at a stalemate in tug of war.
Either both of them are truly losing their respective battles against one another. In that Evie keeps disarming him and the villain keeps, challenging her, and she keeps conquering each challenge that he pushes at her. If not, he gives her a challenge and she finds like a complete way around it and does it better than he had originally presented it to her. And he's like, that's annoying. What about this? Like, stop doing that. But also, I think I'm in love with you.
Right.
That's pretty
but
much
also that sucks.
dynamic.
Like,
yeah, but also that sucks. Also, you're so pretty and your hair smells good. It's pretty much their whole dynamic on paper.
It really is. And I love how everyone in the office is just like, yes, they're an old married couple.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much business as usual with all of them. At a constant. And with each book, I get to play with that more. With Accomplice, I got to play with that, I think, the most. Because at this point, The Office is almost acting like the readers, where they're like, I am going to bang my head into this wall if you two don't stop. Like, this is driving me nuts. And it's a manifestation of me too, because it's such a slow burn romance. And that was always my intention. But even in the moments where I've tried to hurry things along, I get so much pushback from the characters where they're like, nope,
we're not ready.
And really, yeah. And I think it's so annoying because I'm like, everyone is mad at me and I have to take the flak, and you guys are making this so hard for me. I'm like, just kiss once, like just do it once and it'll be fine and everyone will be happy to do it. And they're like, no, we're gonna kiss when we want, not when you want. And I'm like, that's okay. So whenever people are like, it's not going fast enough, I'm like, I agree. I'm with you. What are you gonna do? And they're like, you could do something about it. I'm like, no, I can't. I tried. I'm not into fighting losing battles. Okay. I'm just here to supervise. And until they say that they're ready, I'm just going to be like, okay, I'm just twiddling like anytime now, guys. But book 3 was definitely surprising for me in that regard because everyone's kissing in book 3. Like everyone kisses in book 3. It's kind of to the point where I was like, where was this 2 books ago, guys? Like, I don't understand. All of a sudden, I pulled back and they're like, you know what? It's time. And I'm like, that is so annoying. But okay, I'm in. I'm ready to see where this goes. Yeah, that's why book 3 I think was so fun. It was just a constant surprise for me while writing. So all the books are like that, but book 3 especially was an extra curveballs.
So if there is anything for listeners to learn from this episode, it is that Hannah is absolutely not in charge of these books or these characters.
And if that was ever assumed, please knock that from your brain immediately. It is not the truth. I have no control ever. Like, and I don't think that I ever will. unfortunately.
So are you working on book 4 now?
Yes. So I just started book 4, like synopsis has been written out since last year. I just need to go through and change a few things. And in addition to that, I try to follow the synopsis that I write. I rarely do because unfortunately I genuinely don't have I'll be like, go left, and they're like, we're gonna go right instead. How about that? And I'm like, that will ruin the entire plan I had for the next chapter, but that's fine. You guys do whatever you got to do. So I am starting to work on book 4 now just because it is the final book in the series. And I want to make sure that I have the most possible time to work on it and that it's the best book in the series. So I've just started to work on it and I'm really excited.
I love that you write a synopsis and your own characters laugh at you for it and do what they want anyway.
They do. They rip it up and they throw it at me and they put it in spitballs and they just like shoot it at me. And I'm like, this is mean. I feel like I'm being bullied, but it's fine.
Well, I guess that's what
It's
happens
okay.
when you write about villains is they bully you and
Yes.
they don't listen and they throw
Yeah.
spitballs at
It's
you.
so rude. Yeah, it's literally so rude. I hate it.
So number 4 is going to be the last of the series.
Yes.
That is both so exciting and so sad at the same time.
I know, I know. I think the reason I keep like going in to write it and then I cry and then I have to stop because I'm like, it can't be over. But there's not much else I can say. There'll be more soon. And I'm definitely gonna hopefully continue in this world because I love it so much. There's so many other characters I'd love to write about. So we'll see if I can continue in this universe. That would be amazing. But I'm definitely gonna continue writing stories like Assistant to the Villain in the same vein for sure.
Well, that is incredible news for readers and fans like myself. So I'm happy to hear it. And so from here, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in with Hannah and myself today to celebrate the release of Accomplice to the Villain. I'm so excited to read it, and I hope that you all pick it up as well.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I really hope you all love reading Accomplice as much as I enjoyed writing it. It is my favorite in the series thus far. I think it is the most I've ever laughed writing any of these books. So I hope you laugh. I hope you cry. I hope you're not too afraid because everything will be okay. Hopefully. I don't actually know, but we'll see. And that's all I got. That's all she wrote.
Literally.
Literally.
Thank you everyone for listening. This has been Must Love Books. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon under @MustLoveBooksPodcast. Thank you and happy reading.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.